Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, something like that. Man, it's great to have you here, Jack. Thank you so much.
I'm glad to be here.
Once we get everything working, tell us about the guitar you're playing on today. That's not the normal guitar I usually see with. Tell me, you were telling me a story about that in the break.
Yeah, this is a 1959 125T. Headstock's been broke off, but it's been put on good, and it has a nice sound. Just a great box.
That's kind of gets a good, sweet, jazzy tone to it.
It's pretty versatile. It's good for. It's a good slide guitar. It's just very responsive.
And you just recently got that?
Back in January. It's
you get started playing guitar?
My oldest brother Stanley showed me how to play, and
How old were you when you got started?
oh, I don't know. I remember wanting to learn to play, and I was too small to reach up over his big old acoustic guitar, you know. So I ended up having to wait a couple of years, you know, and then.
And you grew up here in Nashville?
I was born in Nashville, kind of raised down in Murfreesboro. Yeah. You know, grew up down there. We moved around a few times. Chesterville, and was settled in Murfreesboro. Yeah. And yeah, so I'm a local guy.
One of the few that are in Nashville cat. That are truly local.
I'm a Nashville cat. So, yeah, I mean, and there was a lot of variety of music, you know. My brother, he liked Lightning Hopkins and Carl Perkins and the Ventures, and I got to see Noki play the other week at the Chet thing. It was great. Yeah. And got a picture of him playing my guitar.
Wow.
That was cool. So I learned tried to learn as much as I could off of his records. Yeah. And then my sisters, they had Motown stuff, and my brother, he had all the, you know, just a good variety of music in the house.
Now, you've played with so many people, Delbert McClinton and Faith Hill and Vince Gill and all these wonderful, wonderful folks. What was your first foray into playing professionally?
Man, I think they used to sneak me in the clubs, you know, and I couldn't drive. I was too young to drive, so they'd come and get me and take me for the rehearsals, and we'd go to the clubs and play. And it seemed like I was always in 2 or 3 different bands, you know. And we had a family band, and we would play. And of course, you know, you play with guys at school. Yeah. But I always played with older musicians too.
Now, did you grow up mainly playing blues stuff, or?
No, I mean, we'd play a George Jones tune, and then we'd play Jimi Hendrix, you know. It was, I mean, I don't know if anybody does that anymore. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, play a Conway Twitty song and then a Santana or a Ramblin' Man or whatever, you know. Yeah. Or a Jimmy Reed tune. Yeah. You know. So I think it was cool to be exposed to that. I mean, I wasn't playing all those styles authentically back then. I was just, you know, just trying to get by. But through the years, I've studied hard in several different styles at different points in my life, you know. Yeah. There was one time where I just played jazz and bebop, you know, that's all I did, and but then gradually got back into the R&B and rock stuff, because I grew up playing in rock bands. Yeah. And I just like it all, you know. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I just enjoy it. I mean, it's such a blessing to get to play music.
That's right.
Try to make the most of it.
We've been talking about blues guitar, and you are such an amazing blues player. What are some of the things you're thinking as you're playing a blues solo? Or you're not thinking at all? Well, maybe you're just kind of hearing and feeling.
Well, the old answer is you're thinking about how to pay the rent and how come my baby don't love me. You know, but well, you know, you have to learn all the stuff that you do, and then you try to forget it right while you're playing, and just play from feeling and whatever. But I mean, you're always going to sit there and think, how am I going to get to this F chord? You know. Yeah. So that never leaves, and I don't. You know, that's the beauty of so many different ways to get around and play a combination of notes. But to me, it's just becoming more and more about just how to get feelings out, and it's been like that for a long time. And I just love improvising, and some of the stuff I've been doing here lately. You know, you're playing with different kind of players from different parts of the world, and jamming and trying to fit in, and you know, playing songs you don't know, and it's wonderful.
Well, I saw some of the guys on the discussion board had put up videos of you at the Chet Atkins convention, sitting in with some of these great guys. Have you been there before?
Yeah, I played there a few times, but that was years ago. And Tommy Emmanuel and I've been playing phone tag for a couple of weeks, and we hooked up out there. Yeah. Some friends hooked us up, mutual friends, and we ended up jamming out in the lobby for I don't know how long. It seemed like 5 minutes. It could have been an hour, you know. We played several tunes, and then Adam from Poland, he joined in.
Yeah.
And there was a bunch of cats around with guitars.
Yeah.
You know, you're involved in that. You don't know what's going on. You know,
Yeah.
you're just trying to hang on.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to have the first time you meet somebody and you sit down in a hotel lobby and you play and there's a crowd of people around you, and then the next thing you know, it's on the internet. It's kind of weird, but it's kind of cool at the same time.
That's right. That's right.
In fact, I think the first tune we played together, we talked about, you know, do you know this or that, and we didn't know similar tunes, and then we came up with Avalon. I think Muriel suggested that, and so we got into that. So it was kind of cool seeing the very first song we got to play together.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your technique. Now, I know we have talked a little bit in the past about you have some limited motion issues with your fretting hand that you have to kind of work around by moving your thumb over the top. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
My wrist only bends this far. I had cysts in my wrist when I was a teenager and couldn't bend my wrist. Of course, there was a miracle; they're gone.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I had to learn to play like this. I can't get my wrist to bend.
Yeah.
So I started learning how to like play the old Chuck Berry lick. You know but play it up here how you bar it. Right. So I can't do that. I can't do that. So I had to figure out how to do that, and I actually came across it in a Ventures tablature thing, of all things, and it was in it was in F. So it was skipping the strings like that. So I thought, well, how in the world? See, I can't reach up there because I can't bend my wrist to reach that far. Yeah. So I applied it. So I do that with these two fingers,
all right.
and then I go down here for the 6, and then the flat 7. Which ended up being a good thing because when I play slide.
Well, good. I was going to ask you about playing slide.
Because when I play slide, it's on my 3rd finger. There it is right there.
Yeah.
See, so it's the same groove, same thing. You skip a string. If you want to get that note. Sometimes I'll just flatten that down to get that note. Anything goes, you know.
And so you had to kind of figure out how to do bass notes with your thumb going over the top.
So then I started looking at that, and it's like, well, there's the 7th, there's the 9, that's the sharp 11. So you can get all that right there with your slide on your finger. So, and then I started using my thumb up here for the bass notes, and so I'm getting 2 notes there.
Good. Can you play us a little something with slide while you've got that out?
Now that's standard tuning.
Yeah.
With standard tuning, you have to do a lot more blocking with your right hand.
Talk about the muting.
In a open tuning, you can let more strings ring against one another. But with the standard, some of these jumps. So what I do is I just cover all the strings that I'm not plucking with the other fingers or the side of the thumb. In there like that. I don't know if the angle's sounds right, but.
There you go.
So if I'm plucking the third string, my side of my thumb is covering the fourth, fifth, and sixth, and my fingertips on the other fingers are touching these.
Okay.
And, you know, so
Now, what's a good way to
move up a string, the thumb comes down. So if I'm playing the first string with my finger, side of my thumb's covering the other 5 strings. And then as I move up and get down here, then these fingertips have to cover these.
Right.
So I don't know. The steel players do it too. You know.
Yeah. And I noticed you, since your guitar is tuned in standard tuning, you don't really have your action real high.
No, it's really low. I like a glass slide.
Is that a particular type or maker of that slide that you like?
Well,
it's just...
they don't make them this size anymore. I looked at some last night, and they're about a 1/4 inch longer, and the weight is off. So I don't even want to say who makes it. So, but you know, just find one that fits your finger. My trick is you hold your hand out like this, put it up here by the guitar, right? So you put your slide on, and there it is, and you got your position. Don't let it go past this knuckle, because when you do, it cocks your hand. Yeah. Okay. I can't bend my wrist. I can't do that. So it just makes more sense just have it right here. Right. It's the same hand position as if you was going to play a 13 chord. You know, you just put your slide on. My hand doesn't change. So when I come up with this approach, it became more natural, and I wasn't having to readjust my left hand technique for slide versus fingering, and it just started becoming easier. You know. Of course, you know, you have to practice about 30 years.
Well,
so you know, there's no shortcuts. You know, so.
That's right. Well, great. I did happen to notice that we are at about 7:30-ish, so they are going to be picking whoever's winning the guitar, and they will notify me when I get the message for that, so I don't have that yet, so it's coming. And so I haven't forgotten about it. That guitar is on its way to somebody right now. I tell you what, while we're waiting for that, Jack, can you grab your Acoustic. National Acoustic over there and play us something on that? And tell us a little bit about that guitar. That's kind of an unusual type of instrument.
Yeah, it's this is a national. I think it's a 1932 according to the serial number. But this headstock's been in about 3 pieces. So if this part with the serial number is original, it probably is, but because it fits.
And that's metal.
It's metal. I guess it's steel. You can see what color it originally was a silver.
Yeah. Somebody
had painted it red. Some of it's come off.
Can you play something on that?
Open D.
Tell them what the strings are.
So I drop the E down to D. Then you got A, D, F sharp, A, D. So it's like an E chord, except down a whole step.
Ah, okay.
You know. Yeah.
Okay.
just improvising, over the changes.
Wow. So that was just something you were making up on the spot there.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
just playing.
Beautiful. When did you get that guitar?
I don't know. I got it in maybe the mid-90s.
Really?
Yeah.
So that recent. Well, it gets a great sound. Let me see how we're doing here. Are you able to private message them? Okay. Keep going. We do not have a winner yet. We are still working on it. So
I think I win it.
we're gonna have to give it to Jack. If you can't get it, just grab somebody and give me a note. That sounds good. All right, we have a bunch of questions for you while we're still sorting out the giveaway. In fact, while we're talking about the giveaway, let me just let's talk about this guitar. Let me put mine down here for a second. Gibson has graciously given this guitar for us. This is a Gibson SG, kind of a 61 reissue. I was amazed at how light it is.
Really?
Yeah. So I've not done a whole lot of playing with SGs. Do you want to play it a little bit?
I've had a couple of them.
It's solid mahogany body. I wrote down a couple of things. It's got a slim tapered neck, rosewood fingerboard, classic humbucker 57s in there, and it's very lightweight. That's what I liked about it. So we'll see if we can get Jack to maybe play us a little something on it. Hopefully it's in tune. I tuned it up before we got going, but that was a while ago.
I like my new guitar.
Well, I have just been notified that the winner of the Gibson SG guitar, you ready? Is everybody ready by the computer right now? Is JP Atlanta. So, JP Atlanta, you have just won yourself a Gibson...
Jack Pearson in Atlanta.
Jack Pearson in Atlanta. It's all coming together now. No, it's so congratulations, JP. You just won yourself a guitar.
Play a boogie in A.
Well, there you go. There
and
you
we
go.
ended on the same chords.
Just like we rehearsed it.
This is a good guitar, man.
It does get a great sound. Does get a great sound. Well, thank you so much for trying it out for us a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of inaugurating that guitar. I know folks are going to ask about this, so let's go ahead and just help them out with it. They had a couple questions asked. What are you running through? And I know a lot of, yeah, just right now. What are you running through?
I'm going through a Boss tuner, Ibanez Tube Screamer.
Tube Screamer, TS 808, right?
No, TS9.
Oh, that's TS9.
And it's
okay.
not mine. I always write my name on it. The other night, this is what I ended up with. Somebody swapped it. But it don't matter. They all sound the same. So, and then we're going into your amp.
Then we're going into my amp, which is a Polytone amp, an old jazz amp, actually.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, you just work with the tone till you get the sound you want. I mean, some amps are so bad you can't get anything out of them, but this is a good amp. And I don't know. I don't use a lot of effects. When I'm recording, I do for different clients. You know,
Yeah.
they might want a delay or a flanger or wah-wah or whatever, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I love playing through stuff. But
Yeah.
for me, I just like a pretty much straight guitar sound.
Yeah.
You know, you have to use a pedal like this to get some, as Buddy Guy calls it, extortion. You know,
How do you have your TS9 set?
Let's see, the drive is about, 2 o'clock?
Yep.
Tone is straight up at 12, and the level is, 11:30?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, I just kind of twisted it, and it works. There's no secret to this stuff, you know, you just turn the knob till it sounds like you want it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some guys make it, you can get all kinds of tonal colors out of effects and things like that, but the biggest thing that's going to affect your tone is you.
That's right. Yes, I mean, I've had people, great players say, where are you getting the sustain without where's your compressor pedals? Like, you hear that? You have to practice holding a note acoustically.
Yeah.
It's still ringing.
Yeah.
You know, you have to practice doing that. If you can control your string with your left hand and your right hand. And then when you turn on the amp, see, that's not loud. It's very quiet in the studio.
Yeah.
But the note is holding because I'm making it hang with my
And how
left hand.
you're doing it by a kind of a vibrato and holding that note and kind of swinging your wrist around a little bit. So it's a little bit fingers, a little bit, or just by holding it.
That's with nothing.
Wow.
Yeah, you know, I had never played this guitar, but you know, some guitars have more sustain than others, but it's a lot. You have to manipulate the note, the string. You know, you can just kind of move it against the fret a little bit to keep it vibrating. Yeah.
Now I notice on your picking hand, you've got nails on probably second, third, and pinky, and don't really have much of a thumbnail, and maybe a little bit on the first.
Yeah, my thumb. See this big old callus? That's my pick. That's from. You can do up and down strokes with it. But all the. But that's what I use, and it's great for the. You know, I love Wes Montgomery, and I love that sound, and I try to get that. You know, this fingernail, sometimes I hit it. I got this thing where I'll use. I'll hit the string with my fingernail, the pick, and then the side of my thumb. And then coming back, you know, I'll get, and I'm kind of getting the flesh of this first finger too. And that's a poor man's wah-wah. But that's how you do it. You do it by using these different, your fingernail, your pick, your part of your flesh, and your thumb. And when you're hitting the strings using combinations of all these different things, it brings out the different tones. Mm-hmm. And that's how you get that. If you use a thin, this is a real heavy pick. But if you use a thin, like a medium pick, mm-hmm. you can get even more tones because you have a thinner sound with the pick, and then you have the fatter sounds with your thumb and stuff.
And it seems like you're kind of activating some overtones or something in there too when you're.
Well, that's what it's doing.
That's what we're doing all that
because of the different textures that I'm hitting the strings with.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've got fingernail, flesh, pick, flesh, and then coming back is the opposite.
Yeah.
So
now, one of our guys. Let's get to some of our questions. And I think this will go right into it. Kurt from Minnesota asked, very interested in the kind of the raking technique, or what you did in the intro of My Old Friend, and you're referring to the intro that's on your website, the song that's on your website, which is, by the way, Jack's website is jackpearson.com, right?
Yep.
jackpearson.com. A lot of great stuff there. I'll take that.
Okay.
And can you illustrate that intro for us?
Try. Let's. It's in F. Wrote this song on the organ, and on my first record, Step Out, it kicks off with the organ. I played the organ. Well, I couldn't find any keyboard player that would learn it, so I had to learn how to kick it off on the guitar. So. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, can you slow it down there? Let's see if we can teach the guys this.
Okay. I'm hitting that with my thumb.
Yeah, we're in the key of F.
In the F. And that's a tough lick right there. I'm playing F, C, E flat. I'm sliding. So I'm pulling off of that. I'm catching these notes by pulling off of them, then hitting that, and then hitting the B flat. So it's kind of like this. So I'm playing that, but I'm adding these other notes to it. And that's. What am I doing? It makes no sense. So what it is the organ part. How you do that in the left hand is in those middle notes. That's a rake.
Yeah.
And I'm putting this in between. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a lot going on in that. you got your rakes and your pull-offs and your double stops and triples and then you're going a wacka 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 with the right hand.
Guys, I'll try and do my best to maybe write that out tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Which is going to be tricky enough, just so you guys have something to practice. So we learn a lick from
see that.
I'll try and write it out, and we'll see what we can come up with, and hopefully I'll get that done maybe tomorrow morning.
Well, how do you write out the scrapes and?
That I'll have to look it up and
Okay.
see how we do that. I might just kind of get the notes out and figure the rest from there. But anyway, cool. We already talked about pedals. Did Jack ever play with the Allmans on Midnight Rider?
Many, many times.
How did you get started with them, by the way?
Well,
or when did you play with them? What years were you with them?
I first played with them in 1993. I went out and subbed for Dickie.
Yeah.
He had to go to rehab, so I subbed until he got better and came back.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started playing with Greg Allman,
Mm-hmm.
and Greg Allman and Friends, a solo band. I did that for 3 or 4 years. And then Greg called me one day and said, "Hey, man, you want to join the Allman Brothers?" And I said, "Well, yeah." So Dick and I had played together a couple of times, in between.
Yeah.
I'd go sit in and stuff. And so then that was in 97. So I joined in 97 and started having really bad tinnitus. And I quit the band in 99.
Mm-hmm. What do you think was causing the tinnitus? Just the audio levels on the stage?
Yeah. Dickie wasn't in the PA most of the time. It was all coming off the stage. Yeah, he wasn't in the mains.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty loud. And I was wearing plugs, but it was still causing more damage. And my ears are ringing really loud right now, so I have to be really careful.
And so that has stuck with you.
Oh yeah.
Has anything helped that? I know we have guys that wrestle with that sometimes. Have you found anything to help that?
Not yet.
Yeah. And the moral of that story is, take care of your ears. You're going to live with them a long time.
Yeah.
And
so I try to be careful and protect what I've got. And but I mean, one day I was sitting in the restaurant and the waitress dropped a whole armful of dishes, and it just about knocked me out, because those frequencies just hurt really bad. Yeah. So you just have to be careful. You never know what's going to happen.
Jack, I know you sing, although you haven't sung yet for us. Did you ever take any vocal training?
Lord knows I need to. Being around singers have helped me a lot. Getting to be this close to Greg Allman and Vince Gill and everybody that I've been around. So many great singers. And some of them aren't famous, and they just and players too. You just learn from everybody you're around.
Can you sing something for us?
Oh,
hate to put you out on the spot.
Like what?
I don't know. Whatever comes to mind.
We'll do My Old Friend. So good to see you, still looking the same. I'm glad there's someone that time hasn't changed. You're just like I used to know, my old friend. Ever find what you were looking for? Are you satisfied or still want more? So good to see you, my old friend, my old friend. Just seeing you here brings back memories, good old times, the way things used to be. Do you plan to stay? Maybe settle down. What brings you back to this old town? Been so long since you said goodbye.
I've got time for a couple more questions here. Sometimes, let's see, when Jack writes his songs, does it come up with the rhythm first, then the vocals, and then the licks, and then the lead riff solo, or does it vary from song to song? I imagine that varies from song to song.
Oh, I write it all at once in about 5 minutes. No.
Wow, just like Mozart.
Yeah. It's done, and then you go. No, every song is different. It might be 2 words, that.
Oh.
And sometimes it's a chord progression. Sometimes it's a melody. I mean, sometimes you do hear the whole thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it'll be all of the music, and then you have to find the words to say what the music's saying.
Yeah.
I mean, every song's different.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just a little riff you might be playing, or. Well, I co-wrote a song a few months ago. We were sitting around the table, and the curtain was open, trying to figure out what to write, and the sun was shining on this bush. I'm like, look at the sun shining on that bush. Let's write about a country drive. So we did. Mm-hmm. And that, so it's, you just never know where it's going to come from.
A couple more questions here. Let's see. Sherwood 12 asks, maybe Jack can give us some of his ideas on using intervals when playing and how you're using intervals as you play.
Ooh. Well,
it's an interesting question.
Yeah, because everything's an interval.
Everything works through intervals.
Right.
Do you use a lot of arpeggios when you're thinking solo lines, or are you just kind of thinking patterns, or a little bit of both?
I'm trying not to think of that stuff. I'm trying to, it's so odd because you have to break it down and try to show somebody something. So you say, well, it's out of this chord. But if you take all those notes, it could be looked at as, it's all of those chords. Those notes are in those chords. But more than that, it's just a melody. But that's a guitar lick.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is it a lick or a melody or what?
Mm-hmm.
And is it based out of and you have the different degrees of the scale, and you have the.
Yeah.
It's everything.
Well, while we're talking about.
I don't know how to.
Yeah.
I don't know how to break it down where it is a secret. Where it is like if it's a A7, a lot of the notes will be out of the 5 minor of that dominant 7th.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's an A7, you look at your E minor, and that's so close to like a A13.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one note different.
Mm-hmm.
So I just see all that as A. And if you start doing that when you're going to the 4 chord, you've automatically got a 2-5-1.
Yeah.
So you don't have to think about E minor, A7, D. You're already doing it because you're playing out of E minor over top of the dominant 7th chord. Yeah. So that simplifies things for me. And then, the major chords, you've got those relatives. But the theory can just go forever. So, I don't know.
Well, while we're talking about melody, let's kind of slip into jazz here for a second and kind of talk about chord melodies and putting chords underneath a melody note in more of a jazz setting. Is there some things you've discovered in that?
Yeah, you got the chord progression of the song to deal with. I'll just sit around and just play. Well, I guess that's based around the 1-6-2-5, from what I can tell. There's the 4, 3, 6, 2.
We're in the key of E flat, by the way.
E flat. Why? Because it sounds good.
Just talk us through, even just that little chord progression you went through. Just kind of talk us through the chords as what you were playing there.
E flat. What's that?
E flat with a B in the bass.
Yeah,
E flat 6. Yeah. With a B flat in the bass.
And okay, so that's like B flat minor, which is the 5 of the E flat. Back to E flat.
A flat major 7.
A flat. And to get to that, I play. That's just it's an E flat 7 with an A in the bass.
Right.
So you could look at it as.
I would look at that as an A7 flat 5 is how I would be thinking.
Yeah, because you're going to the A flat, so you could look at it as A going to A flat. But I'm still looking at it as an E flat 7. And I've just got the flat 5 in the bass. Or I could put it up there or here. Okay.
It's got an F13th form right there.
And I did a C, like a C7. I'm putting the flat 9, sharp 9, the 5 in the bass.
Yeah. And the 5 on top.
5 on top.
Yeah. I'm
just doing that to kind of put a melody inside the chord.
Right.
So I might do that or this. That's still all C7. And that's a C7.
No, let's see if I can catch back up with the chat. The chat is moving here pretty fast. Let's see if we get one question from the internet. Mr. Breeze says, what is your favorite guitar and style of music? I've stumped him here.
I don't think there's an answer to that question. That's a trick question.
Kent asks, what are the best slides, which we kind of talked about a little bit earlier. See,
I don't know. I have several slides I like. My favorite is this little glass slide. Just make sure you find one that fits your finger, that's not too tight or too loose, and try to keep it from going past to that knuckle joint.
That's right.
That'll help a lot.
JP Atlanta says he likes my new SG guitar. All right, come on. Ellis James, here's a good one. What is the best venue you have ever played at?
That's another trick question because I don't think there's any best. There's been a lot of great places. And anywhere I can hear myself and the people can hear and feel like they're a part of the music, that's the best place.
Any memorable gig come to mind?
No. I mean, no. There's so many good ones, you know. I just would hate to try to even single one out.
I'm a Beatle says, Jack, what amp do you recommend for a regular old electric guitar? That's
what
different.
Amp?
I've seen you play through a couple of things. A little Fender.
I used a solid state Yamaha 50-watt amp for 20 years. I've still got one I use every once in a while. I've got a little Blues Junior I'll use. I've got VVT has made me some amps I like. I'll play through whatever anybody's got. Some amps you can't get anything out of, and some of them just sound great. You don't have to do anything, Part of it's in the EQ, what kind of speaker. I'd rather have an EV speaker, there's just more even sound. I don't like a lot of bass, real boomy bass. It gets in the way. It gets in the way of the bass instrument. It muddies up the sound, and if I use too much bass, it actually knocks down my sustain. It's a weird thing, but it actually knocks down sustain.
Because I've seen you use some relatively small amps, kind of a 112 sort of setup.
I prefer 112 cabinets. You know.
So just to, just to reiterate a little
I
fun
just
fact.
don't care. It's about making music, you know.
That's right.
And you know, I had this one amp sound so good. You take it someplace and plug it in. If the power's not right, it won't sound good.
Yeah.
So you can't even say this is a great amp. It depends on how much juice it's getting out of the wall.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And it's not even really a wattage thing. Some guys
No.
just think that,
Yeah.
oh gosh, if you don't have a 100-watt amp, well, 100 watts, my goodness, you can blow the roof off my house with that. As long as you got a sound system, a smaller amp will do you fine. So.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I'd never seen a loud amp. My ears wouldn't be ringing, you know. So.
All right. Well, I think we've about plumbed the depths of that. Great. Well, let's play something before we check out. We'll play a little something to
let's
go.
play like a John Lee Hooker type thing. When you're playing rhythm for somebody, turn down. Don't. That's something I don't like about younger players. They play the same volume all the time. This volume control is on there for a reason. You know, you turn up when you take a solo, you turn down, you respect, and you try to back the other guy up, right?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. It's
That's
the
a good
fundamentals.
yeah.
We're getting to the basics. Well, thank you so much, Jack, for being with us on this wonderful evening with our technical problems and all that sort of stuff.
We still had a good time.
We had a great time. I hope you guys have had a great time being with us.
Somebody want a guitar?
Somebody want a great guitar.
Woo, yeah.
Couple of announcements I need to make here at the very end. We will have another live lesson on Tuesday, August 2nd, which is our next live lesson. We're going to be talking about hearing intervals, and we're going to completely switch gears. We're going to do kind of an acoustic folk thing, and we're going to learn Arkansas Traveler, very, very just common fiddle tune for bluegrass. We'll learn that next live lesson. And then on August 9th, so that one was the next one is August 2nd, but the one on August 9th, we're going to have another special guest with us, and that'll be Shane Hill, guitarist for Sawyer Brown. Wonderful guitarist. We're going to be talking about getting great tone out of your instrument and effects and all those things that you guys are all excited about. So that's what's coming up.
The opposite of me.
With the live lessons. So keep up your work in playing guitar, learning guitar, get inspired.